Do you want me to straight to camera?
How do you feel that the media portrays men's mental health personally, what you've seen?
It is shifting gradually. As a kid I'd hear things like big boys don't cry, man up, be strong, you're a man.
I don't think the education system that I had in an all-boys school suited me particularly well.
The amount of times I've come to a party and the little boys just like guns and just like fighting.
They can't talk about it as openly as maybe females can, you know, because it makes them look small in front of people, you know, they don't want to be seen as weak, and so I think there's a real lack of understanding.
It's like, it's alright, life gets hard, don't worry about it, move forward.
Talking to friends and family, I don't think it's that easy.
My story involves a lot of alcoholism, drug addiction and things like that. To me it was like an elevated status to be able to drink more or use more or take more. I had a good upbringing, yet at the age of 22 I was serving a sentence in prison for attempted armed robbery on a post office because I was a heroin and crack addict.
It's not the drugs themselves, it's the reason why you do them.
It gives you an identity. One of the things which a lot of people struggle with to get themselves out of addiction is their whole identity is centred around that.
You can sometimes feel stuck in that situation.
Things like the armed forces, they'll have a very specific identity, they'll have a meaning and they'll have a purpose. Then if they're taken out of that setting, they'll be in a place of, you know, who am I?
My dad suffered from depression for a while. I only found out about that a year ago.
Can I ask who brought it up?
My mum.
I went to the GP for some, I can't remember what reason it was. He just looked at me and went, I think you're depressed. People want to talk to you and then sometimes you just feel, I really just can't talk to you because it hurts.
Do you think it gets you down because it's something you can't do anything
I can't do anything about it, yeah.
Guardian newspaper, they had like a video of Jamal Edwards, and he had a stat saying 48% of men feel ashamed that they suffer with depression. That is pretty damn alarming.
Unfortunately, I've dealt with other people going through things and they unfortunately didn't tell me.
People do that, they keep things suppressed, they keep things down, and then it bottles up, and then you end up with a high suicide rate.
3 times more men than women will commit suicide in that. How does that make you feel?
I think it comes back to like what we touched on earlier. I think a lot of them probably struggle to actually talk about it.
I've lost a few good friends who are in their early 30s. It's only afterwards that everyone will sit round at the funeral or whatever and they'll sit there and go, if only he'd come and talk to me, if only they'd said something, if only I'd known, then I could have gone and helped.
I think it's difficult because obviously you want to be there for people, but if you don't have the information, how much help can you be?
I don't feel like I necessarily can support certain people in my life when they are struggling in those situations.
They're interested in the story but don't know how to help or what to do. Or
As much as you want to divulge and make sure they're in a good place, I'm not a counsellor, my friends aren't counsellors.
Did you get offered any help from your doctor after you told you?
I got offered CBT.
Governments understand numbers. They've got targets, you know, like education, it's all tick boxes, isn't it? That's where they like certain very prescribed forms of therapies, like CBT.
I can't really remember that much about it.
So it didn't make any
No,
sense?
not really.
Have they stopped smoking? Yes, tick the box.
They'll take your details, like, okay, cool, you know, somebody will be in touch at this time and whatever. It's gonna be 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You know, in that time, well, what can happen?
How do you do things day to day to, I guess, combat having them feelings?
Around that time I found stand-up comedy.
Since giving up alcohol and drugs, just everything came together.
People were like, you've got a story, get on stage. And eventually I did.
So when I do talks at schools and things like that, I quite often use the analogy of the film Limitless. Things that before seemed impossible and quite often daunting and I suppose overwhelming, all of a sudden I'd be like, actually I can do this.
Do you find that action helped you in any way possible?
It ticks a lot of boxes, yeah.
And then from the comedy through the confidence and all that, I found the modelling. That's helped a lot. And meeting people.
We should provide a lot more support for people to talk.
Just need to communicate with each other.
Myself and my friends make an active effort to check in with each other.
And it takes 2 seconds, it costs you nothing just to send a simple message.
That connection between people, that's how I think people can overcome addiction.
It's not quite there yet. There's, especially in regards to men, I think it's appearing,
I don't know, I think people are a lot more educated now than they were in my day.
but I think in time it will be much better.